This is Stadler Rail. For over 80 years, Stadler Rail has been building these massive trains all over the globe. Today, I'm going to interview Martin Ritter, where he'll show me exactly what needs to be done to produce these beasts. And be sure to stick around to the end, because Stadler gave me the honor to take the operator's chair and actually drive one of their big trains. Enjoy the video. Hey Martin.
Hey Liam, good to meet you.
Thanks for taking the time to meet with STEMHEADS and the Utah Manufacturers Association.
Absolutely, welcome to Stadler.
Mind if I ask you a few questions about where we're at right now?
I'm all about it.
All right, so when was Stadler Rail first founded?
Stadler Rail is actually a Swiss company, and we got founded in 42. Interesting enough is 42, our first product that we manufactured was a battery shunter for the mining industry. That's how we started.
You guys have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
What have been the biggest changes in your company since then?
Well, I'd say from a global perspective, we changed quite a bit from that boutique little manufacturer to a global company. We've been selling trains in over 44 countries worldwide.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So while we're here, would you mind showing me how some of your trains are made and maybe take a look inside them?
Absolutely. Let's catch up and look at how we produce train, and maybe we'll also meet some people on the way.
Cool.
Maybe one detail to start with. Most people talking about trains think this steam locomotive heavy duty thing. Those trains are actually closer to an airplane than they are to a old style locomotive, right? Let's go in and let's look at it. This is the status of this train, for example. We have the floor is installed. We have a composite floor. We want our trains to look very clean and slick, even after a few years. So they need to be easy to be cleaned and maintained.
That's smart. So do all of your trains require a driver?
That's an interesting question. The train itself doesn't require a driver as long as we call it the signaling system is actually doing the job for a driver. All our trains in the United States are operated by a driver, but they could all be driverless if the system is in place.
That's some pretty high-tech stuff.
It is actually. In order to build a high quality product, the most important component are good people. So the one thing that we really try to emphasize and invest a lot is training workforce. And we do have a specific program at Stadler US where we train actually young workforce. So we're hiring people in their junior high school year, and they will actually start working here during their senior high school year. 50% while they're still finished their school year, they're going to spend 2 more years with us, and they're going to earn an associate degree. So I'll show you where we train them the first couple of months. So as you see, you're about to enter into the Stadler Learning Zone. So this is the environment, whereas for the first 3 months of our youth apprenticeship program, our apprentices get to know like the basic working with different material, whether that's wood, whether that's aluminum, metal. That's only happening for the first 3 months. And after those 3 months, we're sending them out to the teams. And for the remaining over 2.5 years, they're actually spending their time with different teams. It's like you learn something at school and you try it out the next day on your workplace. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. If any one of your colleagues and friends has interest to build trains and have a debt-free associate degree, that's the way to go.
I bet some of my friends would want to do this stuff.
Hopefully.
So how is STEM involved in building trains?
We're working with STEM in so many ways. One thing that we're proud of, on this train you see many pieces and parts that are made in Utah, which is actually pretty cool for the fact that we're only here for 7 years.
There's a lot of STEM that goes into making trains.
Absolutely. There's 3 core products basically of a train: the wheel set and the car body. The third one is most likely the software. The whole electronic and software is the third component of a train. So the frame, we're gonna still buy from Europe. And then once they arrive here, we actually start to build the truck with US components. We try to work as much as we can in a very comfortable area or way. And so we have those elevated so people don't have to kneel down. They can actually work on the truck very comfortably. Once those trucks are done, they're gonna leave the facility and go into, it's a little weird, but we call it the displacement hall. And then it moves into the next area here, which are pre-assembly activities. And it goes into the final assembly, where it all gets put together on the train. And then once that rail car is built, we're gonna move the entire rail car on the rail.
So aside from your website, StadlerRail.com. Most of your trains are built in Europe. Why is that?
If you've ever visited Europe, you know that we're moving a lot by train. Living in the US, we also know we're moving a lot by our own cars. Europe is technically a train continent. There is a way higher demand in Europe than it is in the US for trains. That might change. I do believe that the US is going to need way more trains because we're growing. And then also because the next generation, I would assume you rather work on your laptop or be on social media than actually focusing on the road and driving a car. And so I believe the next generation is demanding and requesting more transit options because we can use our time better while we're on a train than while we're trying to drive a car. So this is an example for our cars. They are going to Atlanta. Those are metro cars. That's the way how they arrive from Europe. So Europe does weld those cars and they put a layer of protection on top of it. And then we painted ourselves here in Utah. So we have some big paint booths. I'm going to show you one. It's a 100 feet long paint booth. Let's look at it real quick. You can see it's a little worn from the paint booth because part of the activity is once we paint the train, we will also have to bake it. We can add as many paints as you want. Like you can really have a very colorful train. Most of the customers, they actually don't want to go too crazy.
So you can do a lot with the paint on the trains.
It's the same with a car. If you look at a car and it's a good looking car, you might appreciate more to ride in it. It's the same with the train. So we try to also have good looking trains.
That's cool. So what type of education would a person need to work here?
We have many different jobs. The one cool thing about Stadler is that the operations is very, very diverse. We do manufacturing, we do assembly, but we're also having an engineering department, we're having a procurement department, project management teams. We have finance and sales. We have warehousing, assembly, and testing. Now here, you see a relatively long train. So this is one totally finished rail car for California. It's a 7-car train set. So we couple 7 cars together and combine that in a train. It's 7 times 85 feet.
That's crazy.
And this is how a Utah made rail car is looking like for California.
It looks really nice.
As you see, it's very open, very wide entrance area. So we have those double side doors. Okay, let's go upstairs real quick.
Never been in a 2-level train before.
Wonderful. So welcome for your first time. This is the upper floor, which is really neat for 2 purposes. Most of the double-decker trains in the US are very tiny. So you wouldn't have, but I would have to go into the upper level with my bent forward, and we were successfully implementing a very tall ceiling height. And the other thing is obviously if you think you have a wonderful view out of the upper level.
This seems like a great place to work at.
I want to believe it is that way, yeah. There's one real crucial thing about working at Stadler, beyond all the cool stuff, the product we're building is actually very meaningful and it can change lives.
So I heard you might have a train for me to drive.
Do you want to drive a train?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it.
That's his favorite part of it.
Of course.
I think that's the only part he gets.
And then he says like, well, you can use the bell, or you can blow the horn. Of course we're gonna blow the freaking horn. I mean, who wants a bell if you can?
Well, I
you want to buy a shirt like the one I'm wearing now, you can check out our Etsy shop, STEMHEADS, where you can buy stuff like shirts, hats, and even hoodies.